If you have ever managed a project that went off the rails, missed deadlines, scope creep, frustrated stakeholders, there is a good chance you were missing something fundamental, not tools, not templates, a mindset. Welcome. My name is Kanisbong Busabong or Ajarn A, and in this video series, we are going to deep dive into the standard for project management published by PMI, the Project Management Institute, the same organization behind the globally recognized PMP certification. Now, why does this matter right now? Because PMI has just released the PMBOK Guide 8th edition, the most significant update to project management guidance in years. The full details are available at pmi.org/standards/PMBOK. But before we go there, we need to build the right foundation. And that foundation is the standard for project management, the principle-based framework that underpins everything in the PMBOK guides. And in fact, everything a great project manager does. That is exactly what this series covers. In these workshops, you will learn the 8 core PM principles that every decision should be filtered through, how to navigate the project environment, from governance to stakeholder dynamics, how to connect your project to real organizational value, not just deliverables, and how to choose the right development approach, whether predictive, adaptive, or hybrid. Whether you are a seasoned project manager or just starting out in construction, data centers, IT, or any other industries, this series is built for you. The PMBOK 8th edition deep dive is coming in the next series. But this is where we start. Let us get into it.
Before we dive in, let us quickly walk through what we aim to accomplish together today. Objective 1. Understand the PMI standard. You will be able to describe its purpose, scope, and structure, and why it matters regardless of what industry you work in. Objective 2. Apply the 8 PM principles. This is really the heart of the course. These principles represent a mindset shift, from following a process to genuinely thinking about how to create value. Objective 3. Select the right development approach. Whether predictive, adaptive, or hybrid, you will know when and why to use each one. Objective 4. Navigate the project environment. We will explore the factors that shape every project: environmental factors, organizational assets, and governance structures. Objective 5. Deliver value strategically. We connect individual projects to organizational strategy and to sustainability goals. And Objective 6. Apply your learning in a real case study workshop this afternoon. These 6 objectives map directly to our 6 sessions today. Let us move into Session 1. Welcome to Session 1, Introduction and Foundations. This session runs from 8:30 to 9:30, and it sets the stage for everything else today. We are going to answer 3 key questions. First, what exactly is the standard for project management, and why does it exist? Second, what are the core terms and definitions we need to know? And third, what is the modern context that project managers are operating in today? Because the world has changed significantly. Let us begin. The standard for project management was designed to be universal. That means it does not care whether you are building a data center in Bangkok, developing a mobile app in Silicon Valley, running a government infrastructure project, or launching a new healthcare service. The standard applies to all of them. What makes this powerful is that it is approach agnostic. It works with predictive approaches, what some people call waterfall. It works with adaptive approaches, Agile, Scrum, Kanban. And it works with hybrid approaches that combine both. You do not need to pick a methodology first. You follow the principles, then tailor your approach to the project context. The standard also does something important. It describes the system within which projects operate. That includes governance, the project environment, cross-functional teams, and the relationship between project management and other disciplines like product management and portfolio management. One of the most significant shifts in this edition is the emphasis on sustainability. The standard recognizes that global challenges climate change, resource constraints, geopolitical shifts, and the rise of artificial intelligence are now directly shaping how we manage projects. Ignoring these factors is no longer an option. Finally, the standard drives a move from process compliance to value delivery. The question is no longer just, did we deliver on time and on budget? The question is, did we deliver real value to our stakeholders, our organization, and society? Now, let us lock in the key terms. Understanding these definitions precisely will prevent confusion throughout the rest of today's workshop. First, value. Value is the gain or benefit realized by the organization and its stakeholders as a result of the project. It includes both tangible value, like financial returns, cost savings, or new capabilities, and intangible value, like brand reputation, team morale, or improved processes. Second, outcome. An outcome is the end result or consequence of a project. It is what changes because of the project. For example, a new data center that is fully operational and serving customers, that is an outcome. Third, output. An output is what the project directly produces, the products, services, or results. Installed servers, configured networks, completed buildings, those are outputs. Outputs lead to outcomes which lead to value. This chain is critical. Fourth, portfolio. A portfolio is a collection of programs, projects, and operations managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. Think of it as the highest level of project governance within an organization. Fifth, program. A program is a group of related projects managed in a coordinated way to achieve benefits that individual projects cannot deliver alone. A multi-building data center campus development is a good example of a program. Sixth, project. A project is a temporary initiative undertaken to create value in a unique context. Temporary means it has a defined beginning and end. Unique means the context, the goals, environment, stakeholders is specific to that project. Seventh, stakeholder. A stakeholder is anyone who is positively or negatively affected by the project or who can affect the project. This is broader than most people initially assume. It includes regulators, end users, neighboring communities, and future operators. And eighth, governance. Governance is the framework of structures, processes, roles, responsibilities, and decision-making models that guide the project. RAG matrices, stage gates, and steering committees are all governance tools. These 8 definitions are the vocabulary of our profession. Use them precisely. The world that project managers operate in today is fundamentally different from even 5 years ago. The standard reflects this, and so should we. Let us look at 6 key trends shaping the modern PM context. First, climate change and sustainability. Projects are now expected to actively address carbon footprint, energy consumption, water usage, and waste. ESG, environmental, social, and governance, is no longer just a corporate reporting exercise. For project managers, it means designing sustainability in from day one. Second, artificial intelligence. AI tools can predict risks, optimize schedules, automate routine reporting, and generate actionable insights from project data. But AI is only as good as its inputs, and it requires human oversight. PMs need to understand both how to leverage AI and how to govern it. Third, adaptive and agile practices. These approaches have moved from niche software development methodology to mainstream practice. They enable teams to manage high uncertainty and respond rapidly to change. The standard embraces this without prescribing a single method. Fourth, geopolitical and supply chain disruptions. Long lead times, trade restrictions, and global instability now routinely affect projects, especially infrastructure and construction projects where equipment procurement can take 12 to 18 months. Fifth, strategic leadership role. The project manager of today is not just a scheduler or coordinator. They are a strategic thinker, a change manager, and a value delivery leader. And sixth, cross-functional collaboration. Modern projects require diverse teams across multiple disciplines with shared ownership, psychological safety, and integrated decision making. Keep these 6 trends in mind as we move through today's sessions. They are the context within which all of the standards principles and guidance operate. Welcome to Session 2, Project Environment. Every project exists within a context. Understanding that context, the factors that enable you, constrain you, or completely shape how you manage the project is foundational to project success. In this session, we will cover 3 key areas: Enterprise Environmental Factors, or EEF, Organizational Process Assets, or OPA, and Governance, how it operates across portfolios, programs, and projects. Let us begin. Enterprise environmental factors are the conditions, both inside and outside your organization, that influence, constrain, or direct the project. They are inputs to almost every planning process in project management. There are 2 categories: internal and external. Internal EEF are the factors within your organization. These include organizational culture. Is your company hierarchical or collaborative? Does it embrace change or resist it? They include IT systems and tools, your project scheduling software, document management platforms, and communication infrastructure. They also include resource availability. How many skilled people do you have? What equipment is available? And what is your financial capacity? And they include the existing policies and procedures your organization has established. External EEF are the conditions in the world outside your organization. These include legal and regulatory requirements, building codes, environmental regulations, labor laws, safety standards. They include market conditions, the availability and cost of materials, subcontractors, and equipment. They include academic and industry research, international standards like ISO, and the physical and social environment in which your project operates. Here is the key takeaway. EEF are factors you generally cannot change. Your job as a project manager is to identify them early, understand their impact, and plan accordingly. Ignoring external EEF, like a long regulatory approval timeline, is one of the most common causes of project delays. Organizational process assets are the plans, processes, policies, procedures, and knowledge bases that your organization has accumulated over time. Unlike EEF, which constrain you from the outside, OPA help you by providing structure, standards, and institutional knowledge. OPA fall into 2 categories: processes and procedures, and knowledge repositories. Processes and procedures include your organization's policies and standards, the templates you use for work breakdown structures, risk registers, and communication plans, your project initiation and closure guidelines, your change control and configuration management procedures, and your financial controls and procurement procedures. Knowledge repositories are equally valuable. They contain project files from previous projects, lessons learned databases, which are often underused but incredibly valuable, historical performance data on schedule, cost, and quality, risk databases with documented response strategies, and earned value data that helps you benchmark and forecast. Here is a practical point. Many project managers treat OPA as a formality. Check a box, reference a template. But the most experienced project managers treat OPA as in governance is the framework that provides structure, authority, and accountability across the entire project management system. Let us unpack what that means at each level. At the organizational level, governance sets the overall direction and policies for the entire enterprise. The board, the executive team, they determine the mission, the vision, and the strategic objectives. They decide what the organization invests in and why. At the portfolio level, governance links strategy to execution. Portfolio governance selects, prioritizes, and allocates resources across programs and projects to maximize overall value delivery. This is where decisions are made about which projects get funded and which do not. At the program level, governance coordinates a group of related projects to achieve benefits that individual projects could not deliver alone. A program governance board manages interdependencies, shared resources, and consolidated risks. At the project level, governance provides the specific, adaptable framework that guides the project management activities for a given project. This includes things like your RACI matrix: responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. Your stage gate review process, your escalation paths, and your decision-making model. Stage gates deserve special attention. A stage gate is a formal review point at the end of a project phase where leadership makes a go, no-go, or redirect decision. Gates are based on predefined criteria covering scope, cost, schedule, and risk. They are one of the most powerful governance tools available to project managers, and they are frequently underutilized. Remember this: good governance does not create bureaucracy. Good governance creates clarity. It tells everyone who decides what, when, and based on what information. Welcome back from the break. We are now in session 3, the value delivery system. This is one of the most strategically important sessions of the day because it answers the fundamental question: how does an organization create and sustain value through projects? We will look at the hierarchy from organizational strategy all the way down to operations, understand what value really means in practice, and explore how sustainability and AI are reshaping value delivery. Let us get into it. The value delivery hierarchy describes how strategic intent flows from the top of an organization down to operational reality and back up as realized benefits. At the top, we have organization strategy. This is where the board and executive leadership define the mission, vision, and strategic objectives. Strategy answers the question, where are we going and why? Next is portfolio management. The portfolio function translates strategy into investment decisions. It selects and prioritizes the programs and projects that the organization will fund based on expected value, risk, and strategic alignment. Below that is program management. A program coordinates multiple related projects that together achieve a benefit that no single project could deliver alone. Think of a national grid modernization program or a data center campus development with multiple buildings and phases. Then we have project management. Each individual project delivers unique outputs: a building, a software system, and installed infrastructure within defined constraints of scope, time, cost, quality, and risk. And finally, operations. This is where the project's outputs become sustainable outcomes. Operations sustains and realizes the long-term benefits of what the project created. Here is the critical insight. Value is not delivered by the project. Value is delivered through the project and realized in operations. The project creates the conditions for value. The operations team realizes it. This is why handover and transition planning are so important. Now, what does value actually look like in practice? It falls into 4 categories: financial value, ROI, revenue generation, cost reduction; operational value, system uptime, process efficiency, quality improvements; strategic value, competitive advantage, capability building, market positioning; and social value, ESG performance, community well-being, environmental stewardship. Your project delivers value across all 4 dimensions. Never measure success by only one. Let us talk about 3 interconnected topics: benefits realization, the role of AI in value delivery, and sustainability. Benefits realization is the process of identifying, planning, measuring, and tracking the benefits that a project is supposed to create. Here is the reality. Most organizations are good at tracking outputs. Did we deliver the building? But they are poor at tracking outcomes. Are we actually realizing the intended benefits? Benefits realization requires you to identify benefits at project initiation. Establish measurable KPIs for each benefit before work begins. Track those KPIs through execution and continue monitoring after project close. Benefits often take months or years to fully materialize after a project is complete. Now, artificial intelligence. AI is increasingly being used to enhance value delivery in project management. It can predict risks before they occur, optimize schedules based on resource constraints, automate routine progress reporting, and generate insights from project data that would take humans days to compile. However, and this is important, AI quality depends entirely on the quality of the inputs you give it and the quality of human oversight. AI is a tool. Project managers must govern AI, not just use it. Finally, sustainability. The standard is very clear. Sustainability is not a compliance activity. It is Principle 8, one of the 8 foundational guidelines for project management. Sustainability means addressing environmental factors, carbon, energy, water, waste. It means addressing social factors, community impact, equity, worker health and safety. And it means addressing economic sustainability, long-term viability and life cycle cost. For data center projects specifically, this means designing PUE targets, water usage effectiveness, and renewable energy strategy from the feasibility stage, not as afterthoughts during commissioning. Welcome back from lunch. We are now in what I consider the most important session of the day, Session 4, the 8 Project Management Principles. Here is what I want you to understand from the outset. These principles are not a checklist. They are not a process. They are a mindset. They describe how a skilled, value-focused project manager thinks and makes decisions, regardless of industry, regardless of project size, regardless of whether you are using Agile or Waterfall. We will start with an overview of all 8 principles, then go deep on each one with examples from infrastructure and data center projects. Let us go! Here are the 8 project management principles from the PMI standard. Principle 1. Systems thinking. See the whole project ecosystem, not just your individual workstream. Principle 2. Focus on value. Every decision, every action should ask, what value does this create? Principle 3. Embed quality. Build quality in from the start. Do not inspect quality in at the end. Principle 4. Be an accountable leader. The project manager is a strategic thinker and an accountable leader, not just a scheduler. Principle 5. Engage stakeholders. Proactive, continuous engagement throughout the entire project lifecycle. Principle 6. Build an empowered culture. Create teams that are diverse, psychologically safe, and empowered to make decisions. Principle 7. Navigate complexity. Manage ambiguity and interdependencies systematically. And Principle 8. Integrate sustainability. ESG thinking in every project decision from feasibility to closeout. These 8 principles work together. They reinforce each other. Applying only one or two of them will not give you the full benefit. We will now look at each pair in detail. Principle 1. Systems thinking. Systems thinking means considering the entire project ecosystem when making decisions, not just your immediate task or workstream. It means identifying and managing interdependencies, avoiding silo thinking, and understanding that every change you make has downstream consequences somewhere else in the project. On a data center project, this is critical. A power outage during construction does not just affect the MEP team. It affects IT commissioning timelines, security system testing schedules, and potentially the operations team's go-live date. A systems thinker maps all of these dependencies before making any change to the schedule or scope. Principle 2. Focus on value. Every decision you make as a project manager should be filtered through this question. What value does this create? This is a significant mindset shift from traditional project management. Instead of simply delivering the specified scope on time and on budget, you are asking, does this scope deliver the intended value? Is there a better way to achieve the same outcome? Are we building the right thing, not just building the thing right? On a data center project, this means when comparing UPS system options, you do not just look at purchase price. You evaluate total cost of ownership over 10 years, mean time between failures, energy efficiency ratings, and vendor support capability. The cheapest option at purchase price is rarely the highest value option over the asset lifecycle. Both of these principles, systems thinking and focus on value, require stepping back from the day-to-day execution pressure and asking bigger questions. That is what distinguishes a strategic project manager from a task manager. Principle 3. Embed quality. The traditional approach to quality in project management was to test quality at the end, inspect the deliverable, find the defects, and fix them. This approach is expensive, time-consuming, and often leads to rework that blows both the schedule and the budget. The modern approach, embedded in this principle, is to shift quality left. That means introducing quality practices as early as possible in the project lifecycle. Define acceptance criteria before work begins. Build quality into your design specifications, your procurement requirements, your construction methodology, and your commissioning plan. For infrastructure projects, this means factory acceptance testing before equipment leaves the vendor site, site acceptance testing at installation, integrated acceptance testing before systems go live. Each of these is a quality gate that prevents defects from propagating through to the next phase. Principle 4. Be an accountable leader. The project manager is not just a coordinator. The project manager is a strategic leader who is accountable for outcomes, not just activities. This principle requires business acumen. You need to understand how your project connects to the organization's financial goals, strategic priorities, and operational needs. You need to be able to speak the language of your sponsor, your steering committee, and your client. It also requires transparency and courage. When a critical path activity is at risk, when long lead equipment is delayed, when a subcontractor is failing to perform, when a permit is taking longer than planned, the accountable project manager escalates immediately with clear information. Here is the issue, here is the impact, here are my options, and here is my recommendation. Hiding problems is not project management. Surfacing problems with solutions, that is leadership.
Principle 5. Engage stakeholders. Stakeholder engagement is not a one-time activity at project initiation. It is a continuous, proactive practice throughout the entire project lifecycle. Start with a comprehensive stakeholder map. For a data center project, that map should include the utility providers, because grid connection timelines will define your schedule. Government authorities for environmental, building, and operating permits, and tenants who will use the facility, IT and network operations teams, facility management teams, security teams, and the local community if your project has environmental or social impact. For each stakeholder group, define an engagement strategy. Are you informing them, consulting them, actively collaborating with them, or asking them to lead certain decisions? Your strategy should be documented in a stakeholder engagement plan, and it should be reviewed and updated regularly, not filed away after the kick-off meeting. Principle 6. Build an empowered culture. High-performing project teams are diverse, cross-functional, and psychologically safe. Psychological safety means that team members feel free to raise problems, challenge assumptions, and propose solutions without fear of blame or ridicule. On complex infrastructure projects, you typically have civil engineers, MEP engineers, IT specialists, security experts, and project management professionals all working together. Each brings a different perspective. The project manager's job is to create an environment where all of those perspectives are heard, valued, and integrated into decision-making. Clear rack matrices, shared ownership of outcomes, rotating facilitation in meetings, and celebrating team contributions. These are the practical tools of culture building.
Principle 7. Navigate complexity. Complex projects are not just big projects. They are projects where the interdependencies between components, teams, contractors, and stakeholders create nonlinear behavior, where a change in one area causes unexpected ripple effects in many others. Navigating complexity requires a systematic approach. First, identify all system interdependencies. Document every interface between work packages, systems, and contractors. Second, manage ambiguity with structured risk processes. A live risk register is not optional on complex projects. Third, develop an interface management plan that documents every system boundary, the owner of each interface, and the handover protocol. For a data center with 15 or more subcontractors,
interface conflicts between the structural, MEP, IT, and BMS systems are one of the most common causes of commissioning delays. The project manager who maps these interfaces in advance and actively manages them dramatically reduces that risk. Principle 8. Integrate sustainability. I want to be very direct about this principle. Sustainability is not a corporate social responsibility exercise. It is not a checkbox. According to the standard, it is one of the 8 foundational principles of project management. Sustainability has 3 dimensions: environmental, carbon emissions, energy consumption, water usage, waste management. Social, community impact, worker health and safety, equity and inclusion. And economic, long-term viability, life cycle cost management, and responsible resource use. For data center projects, integrating sustainability from the outset means setting PUE targets, power usage effectiveness, at or below 1.4. It means defining a water usage effectiveness target. It means evaluating renewable energy sourcing as part of your energy strategy and potentially pursuing a commitment aligned with RE100. Do not add sustainability as an afterthought during commissioning. Design it in from feasibility. Welcome to Session 5, Development Approaches. One of the most important decisions a project manager makes, and one that is often made by default rather than by design, is choosing how to develop and deliver the project. The standard provides clear guidance on 3 main approaches: predictive, adaptive, and hybrid. In this session, we will understand when to use each one, the advantages and limitations of each, and how to make a deliberate, informed choice for your specific project context. Let us get into it. The predictive approach, also known as waterfall, plan-driven, or traditional, is the approach most infrastructure and construction professionals are most familiar with. When should you use it? Use the predictive approach when the scope is well-defined and stable from the start, when the requirements are clear and unlikely to change, when the technology and solution are well understood, when regulatory or contractual environments require a fixed scope, and when risk and uncertainty are relatively low. The advantages are significant. You can establish accurate cost and schedule baselines early in the project. The structure is clear and easy to govern and audit. Fixed price contracts are straightforward to manage. There is a strong documentation trail for compliance and regulatory purposes. However, the limitations are equally important to understand. It is difficult and costly to change scope once the project is underway. Problems are often discovered late, during testing or commissioning, when fixing them is most expensive. And the client or stakeholder sees no tangible value until very late in the project lifecycle. For data center and infrastructure projects, the predictive approach is typically appropriate for civil and structural works, MEP installation, fire protection systems, cabling infrastructure, and site preparation. These are areas where the design is fixed, the materials are specified, and the construction methodology is well established. In these cases, predictive planning provides clarity, accountability, and control. The adaptive approach, agile, scrum, iterative, or change-driven, takes a fundamentally different philosophy. Instead of planning everything up front and then executing, you plan incrementally, deliver incrementally, and refine continuously based on feedback. When should you use it? Use the adaptive approach when requirements are subject to high uncertainty or change, when the solution emerges through development and testing rather than being defined upfront, when you need fast feedback loops from users or stakeholders to validate direction, and when shorter delivery cycles can provide incremental business value. The advantages are compelling for the right context.
you gain high flexibility. The team can change direction based on new information without throwing away months of work. Value is delivered early and continuously in increments. Stakeholder feedback is built into every cycle. Teams self-organize and take ownership. The limitations are equally real. It is very difficult to establish fixed-price contracts with an adaptive approach. It requires sustained, active stakeholder involvement. If key stakeholders are unavailable, the approach breaks down. And it may produce insufficient documentation for regulated environments. For data center and infrastructure projects, adaptive approaches are well suited to DCIM software deployment, network and IT configuration, security system automation, BMS programming, and any software-defined infrastructure. These are areas where the specific configuration evolves based on testing results and operational feedback. Adaptive does not mean unplanned. It means planned differently at a different cadence.
The hybrid approach combines elements of both predictive and adaptive, and it is the approach most likely to be optimal for complex, multidisciplinary projects like data centers, airports, hospitals, and integrated infrastructure. When is hybrid appropriate? When your project has both well-defined components and uncertain components. When different phases or work packages have fundamentally different characteristics. When some deliverables are physical and some are digital. When your organization is transitioning from traditional project management to more agile practices. The advantages of hybrid are significant. You apply the right approach to each work package rather than forcing everything into one methodology. Physical construction benefits from the predictability and documentation of predictive. Digital systems benefit from the flexibility and feedback loops of adaptive. And the integration of these two layers, which is where most problems occur, can be managed with a deliberate hybrid testing and commissioning approach. Let me give you a concrete example from data center fit-out. The civil and structural works, the MEP installation, the fire protection and HVAC systems, these are delivered predictively. Fixed design, specified materials, detailed construction schedules. The DCIM system, the network and IT infrastructure, the BMS software, these are delivered adaptively. Iterative configuration, sprint-based testing, continuous feedback from operations teams. The integration phase, where all physical and digital systems must work together, uses a hybrid approach. Structured commissioning protocols combined with iterative problem resolution. This is not just theory. This is how modern data center projects are actually delivered by the best project teams in the industry. Here is a decision guide to help you select the right development approach. Look at requirement stability. If your requirements are high and stable, predictive. If they are low and volatile, adaptive. If they are mixed, hybrid. Solution uncertainty. Low uncertainty, predictive. High uncertainty, adaptive. Varies by component, hybrid. Stakeholder involvement. Periodic milestone reviews, predictive. Continuous iterative involvement, adaptive. Phase by workstream, hybrid. Delivery type. Single end of project delivery, predictive. Continuous incremental value, adaptive. Phased milestones, hybrid. Contract type. Fixed price lump sum, predictive. Time and material, adaptive. Hybrid contract structure, hybrid. Team structure. Specialized functional roles, predictive. Self-organizing cross-functional teams, adaptive. Integrated teams with both characteristics, hybrid. Regulatory requirements. High compliance environment, predictive. Agile-friendly regulatory environment, adaptive. Compliance plus flexibility, hybrid. And industry examples: civil, MEP, legal, manufacturing, predictive. Software, digital product development, adaptive. Data centers, EPC plus IT, complex infrastructure, hybrid. The key message is this: the choice of development approach should be a deliberate decision made at project initiation, based on the specific characteristics of your project, not a default based on what your organization has always done. The project life cycle is the series of phases a project passes through from initiation to close. Let us walk through the 5 key phases and what happens in each. Initiating. This is where the project is formally authorized. You develop the project charter, identify stakeholders, articulate the business case, and secure sponsor authorization. Without a properly completed initiation phase, projects start on shaky ground. Planning. This is where you define the scope baseline, develop the schedule and cost estimates, build the risk register, and create the communication plan. In predictive approaches, planning is done comprehensively upfront. In adaptive approaches, planning is done iteratively, planning the next sprint in detail while keeping future sprints at a high level. This is called rolling wave planning. Executing. This is where the work gets done. Managing the team and vendors, performing quality assurance, engaging stakeholders, and controlling changes. Monitoring and controlling. This phase runs concurrently with executing. You track performance against the baseline using techniques like earned value management, monitor and control risks, and resolve issues. And closing, the formal end of the project or phase, final acceptance of deliverables, lessons learned documentation, resource release, and benefits handover to the operations team. Remember, in hybrid approaches, these phases may overlap. A data center project might be in executing for civil works while still in planning for the IT layer. The life cycle is a framework, not a rigid sequence.
Welcome to our final session, Session 6, Workshop and Wrap Up. This is where everything comes together. We have spent the day building your understanding of the PMI standard, its principles, its frameworks, its language. Now you are going to apply all of that to a realistic scenario. You will work in groups, tackle 4 structured tasks, and present your findings to the room. This is not a test. It is an opportunity to consolidate your learning and see how others approach the same challenges. Let us look at the case study brief. Here is your case study. The project is a greenfield data center fit out in phase 1 for a major financial services company building their first own data center. Location, Bangkok, Thailand, in a new industrial estate. The building shell is already constructed, 3,000 square meters. Scope, 10 megawatt IT load, Tier 3 design, full MEP plus IT infrastructure, plus a BMS and DCIM system. Budget, 500 million Thai baht, approximately 14 million US dollars. Timeline, 18 months from design freeze to first rack power on. Contract structure, 2 prime contractors, 1 EPC contractor for civil and MEP works, 1 IT contractor for technology infrastructure. The project manager represents the client. Key challenges: long lead equipment, transformers and chillers with 40 to 60 week lead times, government permits from multiple authorities, and a dual contractor interface that must be actively managed to prevent schedule conflicts. You will have 30 minutes for your group tasks. The 4 tasks are stakeholder mapping, development approach selection, risk register, and value KPIs. Refer to your slides for the detailed task instructions. Each group will then have 5 minutes to present their key findings, followed by 3 minutes of questions. Are there any questions before we begin? Good. Let us start the clock. Before we close, let me give you 8 key takeaways from today, one for each of the PM principles. First, the standard is universal. It applies to all industries and all approaches. Principles-based thinking is more durable than process-based rules because the world changes faster than any process manual can keep up with. Second, 8 principles equal the PM mindset. These are not a checklist, they are a way of thinking. Apply them together, not in isolation. Third, value over scope. Every decision must answer the question, what value does this create? Outputs must lead to outcomes that lead to benefits. Fourth, sustainability is principle 8. This is not optional. Design environmental, social, and economic sustainability into every project from the feasibility stage. Fifth, match your approach to context. Predictive for stable physical work. adaptive for uncertain digital work, hybrid for complex multidiscipline projects. Sixth, governance enables, not blocks. Good governance, clear stage gates, Raki matrices, escalation paths, creates clarity, not bureaucracy. It protects the project's value. Seventh, AI is a PM multiplier. AI tools can enhance risk prediction, schedule optimization, and reporting. But project managers must govern AI, not just use it. And eighth, stakeholder engagement is continuous. A stakeholder map done once at initiation is not enough. Continuously update, engage, and manage expectations throughout the entire lifecycle. These 8 takeaways are your compass. Carry them into every project you manage.
Let me leave you with some concrete next steps and further reading recommendations. This week, take these 5 immediate actions. First, apply the 8 principles to your current active project. Not in theory, but actually review a recent decision and ask yourself, which principle applies here, and did I apply it? Second, build or update your stakeholder register. Third, identify which development approach your current project is using and honestly assess whether it is the right fit. Fourth, discuss sustainability KPIs with your project sponsor. And fifth, review your project's governance structure against the framework we covered today. For further development, I recommend 4 key resources. The PMBOK Guide 7th edition from PMI. Read it alongside the standard because they are designed to work together. Discipline Agile, also from PMI. PMI's Hybrid Agile Toolkit that provides deep guidance on tailoring your approach. The PMI Lexicon of Project Management Terms, which is available as a free download from pmi.org. And the PMI Pulse of the Profession, PMI's annual industry research report, which tracks trends, challenges, and success factors across the global project management community. And if you're considering certification, I would encourage you to look at the PMP, Project Management Professional, or the PMI ACP for Agile. Both are globally recognized and increasingly valued across industries. Thank you for your energy, your engagement, and your commitment throughout today's workshop. The Standard for Project Management is not just a document. It is a framework for how we, as project professionals, think, decide, and lead. You came in today with experience. You leave with a more structured, principled, and strategic framework to apply that experience. Take the 8 principles with you, apply them, challenge them, discuss them with your teams, and continue developing your practice as a project manager. I hope today has been genuinely valuable in the truest sense of the word. Safe travels, and I hope to see you in a future session. Thank you.